Inspiration comes once you start working. Writing is a calling that one cannot resist, and if one feels it, he must write, because it is the only way to overcome headache and bad digestion. Gabriel Marquez used to say, and that was the path the classic of the Kazakh literature Berdibek Sokpakbayev chose to pursue. Path of a relentless quest, inspiration and unique writer's enthusiasm. The author has created works of various genres, contributing to the development of Kazakh literature. Although he has started his creative journey with poetry, it was prose that brought him the greatest fame. He skillfully created different psychological images, showing how a man and his personality can change depending on time and circumstances. Makbal Musa is a poet, member of the Union of Writers and Journalists of Kazakhstan. She is the winner of Jansugurov and Makatayev Republican contest. Apart from this, she won the first prize of the Republican Altyn Tolbilgi contest, organized by the Foundation of Kazakhstan's first president. Also, Makbal is a winner of 100 New Faces of Kazakhstan project. According to my observations, villages produce lots of talented people. One such village dweller, a young man who lived in a mountainous area, decided to devote his life to journalism. He worked in editorial offices of several well-known publications, such as Baldirgan and Kazakh Abdebiyeti. Also, he was once employed at a film studio and even tried working as a teacher at his own school. Work with children and problems of their upbringing were always in the center of his attention. Berdibek Sokpakbayev was a famous teacher and mentor. Probably, this was what defined the main topic of his works. He worked in the Writers' Union of Kazakhstan as a consultant on children's literature. But above all, he was a children's author himself. Childhood and youth, these were two main topics of all his writings. His favorite writing style was an autobiographical narration in author's interpretation. He preferred to present his personal observations in his works, anything he has seen, been through, or experienced at some point in his life. He had a poignant perception of the village life in the 30s, which he described in his works, villagers, hardships, post-war people's psychology, and their general mood. Berdibek Sokpakbayev was born on the 15th of October 1924 in the village of Narinkol, Almaty region. He graduated from Kazakh Pedagogical Institute and later finished higher literary courses in Moscow. The author started his creative journey with poetry. His first collection of poetry called Bulak, Spring, was published in 1950. Later, he wrote more than 20 works, novels, novellas, and stories that he dedicated to the themes of childhood and youth. The writings like My Name is Kozha, Journey to the Childhood, A Girl from Bostobia, Dead Men Don't Come Back, Duel, Gauhar, Where Are You, were published in many languages of the countries of the former Soviet Union. Plays based on them were staged and films were made. He was awarded the Certificate of Honor of the Supreme Council of the Kazakh SSR. The first ever collection of poetry written by Berdibek Sokpakbayev was warmly received by the readers, winning their hearts with his ingenious and sincere style. The book was praised by critics. Later, Sokpakbayev decided to try his hand at prose. He wrote novellas and stories, simple in their plots but very deep in their essence. All of them were dedicated to the life of the Kazakh village. A 16-year-old champion, Happiness Road, A Story About Me. These works won hearts of both teenagers and adult readers. And it didn't come as a surprise, because the protagonists in these stories were all kind and mischievous people. When you turn the last pages of Berdibek Sokpakbayev's books, you don't feel like you've just finished a fiction story. You feel as you've just traveled along with your friends and pals. You don't want to say goodbye to them. Your mood is changing. This is what the writings of Berdibek Sokpakbayev are. Is there a greater happiness for the writer than this? Berdibek Sokpakbayev's creativity stems from the people's life, and it can be sensed in all his works. The writer skillfully used different colors, painting, and portraits of his characters, and each of them was speaking their own language. The technique the author employed was revolving around him, revealing his protagonist's inner experiences and thoughts. Sokpakbayev became widely known for his book called My Name is Kozha. The story was published by the children's literature publishing house, and later it was translated from Russian into many other languages. The book was recognized in France, Poland, and Bulgaria. And only then, the story has come back to its motherland and was eventually appreciated by the Kazakh readers. The Kazakh film studio made a movie based on the story, and in 1967, it was awarded a special prize at the International Festival of Children and Youth Films in Cannes. Thanks to this unique work, the writer has become a world celebrity. Both the story, My Name is Kozha, and the film based on it stand at the pinnacle of Kazakh art. In my childhood, I used to watch the movie with a great pleasure, and now I rewatch it with my son. And it's not just me. The moment the film pops up on TV, both adults and children cannot resist the temptation of rewatching it again. Although more than 50 years have passed since the film was made, it is still highly appreciated. Almost every Kazakh family has this movie on DVD and the book about a mischievous boy called Kozha on their shelves. The classic of Kazakh literature, Berdibek Sokpakbayev, and gifted director Abdullah Karsakbayev did everything to make My Name is Kozha one of the most famous and loved piece of art for centuries to come. And the person who introduced one titan of Kazakh art to another was a writer, Takhavi Akhtanov. Berdibek Sokpakbayev is a realist writer who describes the life as it is. The way the author perceives the reality and his immediate participation in it are the main features intrinsic to his works. Berdibekov's me is sensed in everything he writes. Extraordinary lives, ups and downs of big and small people, their worries and moments of joy, everything is there. The story's protagonist is called Kozha. His full name is Kozha Bergen. If you remember, in order to tell apart two Kozhas in class, his classmates called him Black Kozha. Sometimes they would even call him not Kara, Black Kozha, but Kara Kozha, which meant black millet soup. His last name is Kadyrov. There was a moment when he wrote about himself, Kadyruli, son of Kadyr. Wiry hair of medium height, and as his grandmother used to tell him, once you grow up, you will become as shapely as your father. He is 12 years old. He studies at the 5th grade. His biggest dream is to finish school, enter a university, and become a writer. He is a dreamer as well as a mischievous boy, and that's why he constantly gets himself into all kinds of situations. But it is due to his character and brains, he always manages to successfully sort them out. He is an honest friend, looking at the world around him with curious eyes and trying to comprehend every single thing. And this is why the readers love him so much and call him Batir Kozha.
Жас. Не деп жазам? Жас, ертеңнен бастап тентек болып бірде-бір баламен төбелеспеймін. Егер өз дейсіші, онда қой де. Әйтпесе, көкіңді там де. Ал егер қоймасашы? Егер бұл мәселе осымен бітеді. Екінші мәселеге көшеміз. Жаман сөздер айтпайсың, сайтан, есуас, кешші, ақмақ секілді. Оның орнына жарамайды, мұның тәртіпсіздік, ұят болады деген сөздер айту керек. Тәртіпсіздік істесің, өзіңді өзің жазалайсың. Қалай? Оны кезінде көрерміз. Шешім бір ауыздан қабылданды. Бітті.
The book tells us different funny stories from Kozha's life. Whatever mischiefs he does, he always remains a good person. He believes that his extraordinary and not always good deeds are a result of him living without a father. Once I think about my father, my heart breaks. He is such a close, such a dear person to me. What a pity, father. If only you were alive, I would be a different person. Who knows, it might be that I am such a good-for-nothing Kozha only because you are not around. When you read the boy's confession, unwillingly, you start thinking about your own father. Indeed, Kozha grows up without a father figure in his life, but he is not deprived of love of his close ones. On the contrary, his mother and granny spoil him rotten. In the mornings when he gets ready for school, Kozha wipes himself with his grandmother's skirt and then runs across the village. Every country boy who was brought up by a granny realizes the mistake of their childhood once he grows up and tries to fix them. These guys know how to tell good from bad. The writer who demonstrated the relationship between the boy, his mother, and granny wanted to point out the integrity and key features of such upbringing. I now recall Baujan Mamushulu's quote, "It is unknown what a future will be like for someone who grew up without lullabies, bedtime stories, and emotional warmth." By the way, kids who were brought up by their grandparents are more adaptive in life. At least it is what is said in the books.
Allah сақта. Шығармайтын жоқ мұны. Жей ғой. Іш, айран ұттап жібер. Қайда кеттің? Түкшпедің ғой. Қожатай, бас киіміңді ки. Қожатай, бас киіміңді ки деймін.
The book tells us a story of a carefree country childhood, about the moments that will never repeat, despite how hard you want them to. The readers are always touched by the protagonist Kozha, and his mischiefs make them smile. Kozha, who at the beginning is not taken seriously by his classmates, is always genuine, sincere, and ingenuous, and he never falls under someone's influence. Whatever light-minded mischiefs he does, he always makes the readers smile. Apart from Kozha, there are many other characters in the book: school principal, loving mom and grandmother, teacher Maikanova, whose bag he filled with frogs in order to scare her, his enemy Sultan, a girl Janar, who he liked and his father's friend. The author described the relationship between the protagonist and all other characters perfectly. The story finishes with Kozha, who was almost expelled from his school for his mischiefs, realizing his mistakes with the help of adults and friends and trying to live up to their expectations. The main concept of the story is to help the protagonist to comprehend himself, give him a chance to understand his destiny, but not to punish him. The author blatantly said that this is what a teacher and adults should be doing. This is the author's message, and I believe it should reach anyone who is bringing up children. If every mischievous kid, same as our Kozha, will have tutors like these, their lives might change completely. Children's upbringing should always be on agenda. Every author writes about things he experienced in his life, things he knows about, things he went through. One great writer has said once, every writer writes about himself. If so, then Kozha, his personality, and his behavior remind me of myself and my childhood. There are many similarities with my past life in the story, friends, schools, village where I grew up. That is why initially, the book that was published in 1957 was called A Story About Me. Literature is a nation's soul, people's self-awareness, spiritual world, their destiny. These are the main topics for writing. Ahmet Baytursinov used to say, "A true writer has a deep and pure soul." And Berdibek Sokpakbayev has lawfully deserved titles of the best Kazakh children's author and the classic of literature. His books have never become dusty on the shelves of bookshops and libraries. Both adults and children have always been keen readers of his writings. The works we talked about today stand at the unprecedented height, and I am sure whatever winds of change might blow, his works dedicated to childhood dreams will never lose their value and popularity among people.
сөзсіз